Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Optimism Fractal meeting. I'm here with fellow team members and founders of Optimism Fractal, Tadas and Vlad and Rosmari, and we've been working very hard to bring Optimism Fractal to you, and we're super excited to share it with you. We have an exciting agenda today, and so basically I'm going to share a little presentation introducing you to Optimism Fractal first, so I'll share the screen there, and then I'll give an overview. We have the wonderful Sunny Flower here, and we have the website optimismfractal.com that we're putting together. We'll show you more soon. We'll scroll down, but first, a little overview of the agenda. First, we're going to give you an introduction, and then we're each going to share a little bit of an introduction to ourselves and how we're helping Optimism Fractal and what we're doing with Optimism Fractal. And then we're going to introduce the Respect game, which is an innovative consensus game that's designed to award public goods creators, foster collaborations, and create profound benefits for the Optimism Collective. We're stoked about optimism, stoked to share this with you. And then we're also going to play the Respect game. Vlad and Tadas have been building OP fractal tools, and so we're going to test them out for the first time officially here. Everybody's welcome to join this meeting. We put out some messages. You can check out lu.ma/optimismfractal to see the event, and you're welcome to invite friends. We put this out just yesterday, and we're planning to do a weekly meeting. So there'll be many opportunities to join and network and meet great people in the Optimism ecosystem. You can follow our Twitter account as well at Optimism Fractal, where you can also like and retweet to see the posts that we've been sharing. Lots of exciting stuff that is happening here at Optimism Fractal. Once again, just a quick overview. We also put a post on the gov.optimism forum here where you can learn more as well. And you can also click the links here to join our Discord. There's also a contact page here, so you can get in contact with us if you have any questions or you want to learn more. I encourage you to join our Discord. We're doing some really cool stuff. And then we have a details page that we'll get into where it explains basically what we're doing here in like a more formal detail, but we'll get into that and we'll just give you a high level overview right away from the start. At the bottom here too, there's also some links to a couple apps that we're using. Fractagram, which is a Telegram app that we can use to play the Respect game, and a web app that works with Fractalgram, where we can pin the consensus results from the game, pin the scores and the results in the game to the OP mainnet. If you'd like, you can also look more into the details of Optimism Fractal and how we've been building this for several months and working on fractals and this consensus game and all sorts of really cool stuff for several years now. We've all been working together for a long time on really exciting stuff, and we're stoked to share it with you. And we're putting together an article here, edencreators.com/Optimism Fractal, where you can explore lots of things and lots of videos where we've been talking about this in the past as well. We can get more into detail about that, but I know Vlad also has a short timeline on the schedule too. I encourage you to scroll down the website. It's work in progress. Rosmari is writing some wonderful introductions to it here, and you can check out some beautiful art. So, but without further ado, I suppose that I will stop the screen share, and then we can all give ourselves a little introduction and share what we're doing with Optimism Fractal, and then we'll get into more details of Optimism Fractal and the Respect game. I know Vlad has to go pretty soon because you have another engagement coming up. So perhaps Vlad, if you want to go first and share what you're doing.
Sure. So in terms of Optimism Fractal, I'm responsible for the front end. So if you will have any issues with the front end, you can tell me. But in general, I'm a just developer. And past 4 years, I've been active on the EOS network, building different decentralized applications. Mostly they have to do something with governance. And now I'm entering into the optimism world, so to say. So curious to see how it goes. And that's about it.
All right, thank you very much, Vlad. And if you are able to stick around for a bit, then I think you got on 5 minutes or so. So maybe we'll be able to hear your contributions more so. But if you got to get going, that's cool too. Maybe if Tadas or Rosmari, you want to share a little introduction to yourself and how you've been helping Optimism Fractal and Optimism so far as well.
Sure, I can go. Yeah, so yeah, for this Optimism Fractal, I wrote the smart contracts and configured Fractalgram, which is one of the front-end tools that helps groups reach consensus, key part of the Respect game that we will be playing here. Yeah, and overall, I'm a developer as well. Been working in EOS community as well, but last year or so I've been also working with Solidity a lot and EVM smart contract. Yeah, what else? I'm also very interested in governance. From research perspective, I have like I'm looking for best ways, interested in finding the best ways for communities to find consensus and collaborate.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tadas. And both Tadas and Vlad are both quite understated too. They've been building awesome tools, working on building a team page. And I mean, by the way, we're the Optimistic team too. We've been forming the Optimistic team to help launch Optimism Fractal, as well as lots of other cool stuff we're doing. And so we're going to be creating more detailed about pages. Like, for example, Vlad's been building a fractal app for a long time, working with several talented developers, super exciting. Tadas has been working on great initiatives, Albedo and Firmament, and so much more that I could say. But just to provide a high-level overview, we're doing really exciting stuff and excited to share more with you. And perhaps, Rosmari, would you like to share next? And then I'll provide a little introduction to myself after that.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Rosmari. I have a marketing background, and I'm a content creator, musician. I have my own podcast called Community Stories, and I'm a co-host of the Fractal Apple Show alongside Dan. I'm helping with Optimism Fractal's video production, show notes, along with timestamps. I do marketing efforts to present the website the best way possible. I do a bit of copywriting. I help with the artwork, promotion, engagement, and so forth. And also I've been helping to produce the Eden Fractal meetings, which we've been focusing lately on these past 2 months to educate participants about optimism. And we've been highly focused on getting all the details about how great optimism ecosystem is and sharing it with more and more people as we share the content on the YouTube channel Eden Creators. And just to also segue on this, I've been attending the Eden Fractal meetings for this past 7 or 8 months, where I've actually met all these amazing people which are part of the Optimystics team. And this is the show that Dan Singjoy hosts, and I'm hugely thankful for this opportunity to be able to work with such amazing builders and creators and people who share personal connections, especially that part about governance. And I'm happy to come to Optimism ecosystem and share what we've been working on. And with that, I'm going to pass on to Dan.
All right. Thank you so much, Rosmari. Awesome introductions all around. And yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you, Rosmari, and pleasure working with everybody here. I'm incredibly honored too by the amazing builders that we've been working with, all the amazing creators. You mentioned Eden Fractal. I should provide just a little introduction. People can check that out at edenfractal.com. And we've been working together at Eden Fractal for the past year with weekly meetings. There's been about 80 people or so who have helped out and created open source public goods and all sorts of cool stuff. And we have a deep history that you can learn about in that article I shared before, The Roots of Optimism Fractal, on the optimismfractal.com/media. For myself, I'm Dan Singjoy. I'm a creator. I've also been coordinating this a lot, bringing together Tadas and Vlad and Rosmari and to help coordinate this effort. And I'm also the host and the moderator of Optimism Fractal, as well as Eden Fractal 2. I also founded Eden Fractal, and I've worked with Tadas and Vlad and Rosmari and several other leaders a lot on building this up. We also started several different fractals, such as the Alien Worlds Fractal and other ones. Well, there's a whole big history that we've been working together. But yeah, I'm also a musician. I'm a creator. I host, in addition to the Eden Fractal show and this meeting/show, I also have a YouTube channel called Dance Party, where I share music and fun videos. And then I also co-hosted the Fractal Apple, which is a fun show that I did with Rosmari. And I did a podcast with Tadas called Creator Talk. And I did a podcast with Vlad called Discussing Eden Fractal Stuff, and a whole bunch more. People can learn about me at dansingjoy.com. And I am stoked about optimism, and I'm stoked about empowering empowering communities and helping to foster public goods and helping humanity coordinate. I think that what Optimism is doing is we've been working on for quite a while with fractals, and now bringing it all together, Optimism Fractal, it's going to be profoundly helpful for optimism for everybody involved, for the whole world. So I could say a lot more there, but I'm very much aligned with the optimistic vision and very excited to embark on this adventure with all of you. All right, so I suppose we can get started. The next topic on the agenda was basically introduction to the respect game. Of course, we can go much more in detail at Optimism Fractal at any point. People can reach out and ask questions, and these will be weekly meetings where everybody can join. This meeting today, we kind of put it out kind of last minute because we've been trying to put it out. We tried to just get it started, and so in future weeks we'll invite more people, and we'll have a really exciting time. Like I said before, I know Vlad has to go so pretty soon, so maybe we can provide a little introduction to how the respect game works, and then if you're able to stick around, Vlad, then you can go first and share what you've been doing to help first, if that's cool with you, or if at any point you got to go, then feel free, of course. But otherwise, I suppose I can give a little introduction to the respect game. If anybody else wants to go ahead, then feel free to do so. But otherwise, I'll just explain briefly the way it works and like the core principle of what we call fractals. So, like I said, there's a whole history. We started out with something called the Genesis Fractal and Fractally, and we've been doing this at Eden Fractal, and now there's been probably like 10 or 15 other communities who've also been pioneering, experimenting this process. And the main core of it is based around the respect game. And the way that the respect game works is that, depending on how many people you have in the group. So right now we have 4 of us, so we'll play with the 4 of us, but you can play with as many people as you want. If you have 10 people or 20 people or 100 people or 1,000 people, then they all go into different breakout rooms, and they go into breakout rooms of approximately 6 people, sometimes 4 or 5, depending on how many people are in each group. And then basically each person takes a turn, takes turns to share what they've been doing to help the community. In this case, we're all about helping optimism, helping the Optimism Collective. So each person will take about 4 minutes or so to just share what they've been doing to help the Optimism Collective. If you're a builder who's been building software for optimism, or if you're a creator who's been creating videos or introducing friends to optimism, or whatever it is that you're doing to help optimism and spread the optimistic vision, then you can share that. You could share it on a week basis, because we host these meetings every week. So you can do your work throughout the week, help out, and then during the weekly meeting you come and you share a little overview of what you did to help, and then the group works together after hearing everybody's presentation what they did to help optimism to form consensus and determine whose contribution was the greatest and whose contribution was the second greatest and the third greatest, and so forth. Each participant ranks each other's contributions to help optimism at each Optimism Fractal meeting, and then they each get different ranks from level 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, which basically like first place, second place, third place, and fourth place, and so forth. And then everybody gets respect from that. And respect, sometimes we call it respect points. It's a non-transferable token, or like a soul-bound token that can be used for all kinds of helpful purposes, a way to award public goods creators. And so that's basically how it works. There's also there's a lot more, like there's potential where the respect can help make community decisions in the future, and it can help form reputation and stuff like that, which is a high level overview. That's kind of what you need to know right now. We can provide more details, and of course you could check out optimism.fractal/details for a much more detailed overview of it. But being that we're on limited time here and just wanted to just introduce it, that's the basics. Basically, we're each going to share what we did to help optimism, take a couple minutes or take a few minutes, however long we want, as long as within 4 minutes or so. And then we're going to hear each other out, and then we can ask each other questions for a little bit. And then by the end of the meeting, we'll come to consensus, and we'll use the Fractagram app with Telegram, and we'll use the web app that Vlad built and the smart contracts that Tadas built to pin these results, who got level 6, 5, 4, and 3, and so forth, to the OP mainnet. And then that will live on the OP mainnet forever. It'll be immutable, so people can see what the rankings were, and then those can be used in all sorts of different ways in the future. So that's a high level overview. We're also going to probably wrap up the meeting within about 40 minutes too. The respect game typically lasts about 45 minutes. And I suppose we can get started now. If there's anything I left out, then please feel free to jump in. But otherwise, I suppose I can pass it to Vlad if you want to go first and share what you've been doing to help optimism.
Yeah. Second meeting in parallel, but so with Optimism Fractal, as I said, yeah, I'm responsible for the front end, and that's mostly what I did last week. Besides that, we had quite a lot of discussion between all of us. lots of documents, reading, thinking about what could be our mission, and so on. So that's my contribution. Tadas, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my contribution this week, as I said, my main focus on this Optimism Fractal project was smart contracts. And yeah, this week I made final touches to them. Yeah, without going into too much detail, just made some small changes, and I also prepared Fractalgram, because previously Fractalgram, which is a tool based on Telegram, basically a Telegram alternative Telegram client, which helps communities reach consensus in Fractal style meetings. This tool has been used with other communities, and so I configured it to be used in these meetings of Optimism Fractal. Then what else? I deployed smart contracts of Optimism Fractal to the mainnet, to Optimism mainnet. I also been thinking a lot about mission statement of Optimism Fractal. I think the most recent one that we were able to come up with, I personally like it a lot. We can maybe share it later, and yeah, and what else? Yeah, I've been also writing a document which describes how Optimism Fractal is how the core of Optimism Fractal, how its consensus process should work in human language, because currently with regards to smart contracts, part of the process is manual, executed by us, but I think it's important to be transparent and make it clear how it is supposed to work, so that looking at transactions on chain and seeing this declared process, people can verify and see that it's all valid and according to the rules. And yeah, and in general it might help people understand how it works. Yeah, so these are basically my contributions this week.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Das. And thank you so much, Vlad, too. Perhaps Rosmari, would you like to go next?
Yes, thanks everyone. So I'll share my screen. I've been working for this past week and been contributing to Optimism Fractal through lots of brainstorming on ways to go about the website and best way we can go out to market and promote what we're doing. I've been working closely with Dan on creating the website, and mostly been contributing with artwork. And this is one example of when you go to optimismfractal.com, and especially this past few days, I worked and helped to bring together the descriptions of each of these sections and think about the best way to tell the story when someone goes to the website. And I'm just showing a bit of that here. This is still work in progress, so it would be updated soon. And so worked on just the artwork so that it looks really nice, and I really do love it. And also been editing and posting the last few meetings. For example, the 69th meeting, Regeneration Nation, and 70th meeting, Fractal Fruits. Whereas I've created the thumbnails and also worked on the descriptions alongside Dan and the show notes. So the show notes are linked to each of the YouTube's videos, and they look like that with a nice section for in case people don't have the time to watch the full video, they can navigate here. And for example, there's a section about retro PGF and Optimism Fractal and the growth of optimism around here. So anyone can take a look and read and see. If they want to find out more, they can click on the timestamps and navigate around. And same thing here for Optimism Fractal and the growth of optimism. So been working on that and just making it seem easy to find out information about. And also I posted yesterday about this meeting for introducing the this meetings, the Optimism Fractals first meeting, and did a thread. I 1 out of 6, so with nice pictures here, and also worked a bit on the branding of the Optimism Fractal Twitter account too. It's still new, but it's in development. It looks like that. And then also from my personal account, I was doing lots of engagement this past week, as well as keeping up with podcasts and what's happening in the industry, and just keeping my eye out on what's new in the ecosystem. And I even got tagged in as part of the Superchain Eco launch, and I got tagged as one of the OP citizens who supported them on the get-go. So I'm making my progress with Twitter. I'm sort of new to this, and been posting more and more and been keeping up to date with what's happening. Also, I remember I went to and looked around the Discord chats in Optimism, and I read pretty much most of the chats about the Rachel PGF and the badge holders, and picked out some tips on which will help us on our Rachel PGF application, which is coming up soon. So that's it from me, and I'm gonna stop my screen share and pass it on to Dan.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Rosmari. That's super cool to see all the stuff you've been up to. Super cool to see the stuff that we're up to, and I am stoked to share my progress and what I've been doing to help Optimism Fractal lately as well now. So I'll also share my screen here. Maybe I'll go here and load it up so it looks nice when we first open up the screen share. Sometimes I like to do that. All right, so Rosmari just gave a good overview here. I have been helping out with this a lot. I've been playing a big role. I built the website as far as making all the buttons working like that, and then I also kind of started to create a structure for the website, and then worked closely with Rosmari and provided some feedback on the artwork and the writing and stuff like that. And I'm also writing different ways to write and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, I'm working a lot on the website, and I also put together these pages for media details, contact, and RSVP, as well as the link to RSVP too. And I've also been providing some feedback and helping out with the Twitter account as well a lot. One of the main things I've been doing is working on this article for the Roots of Optimism Fractal to provide a history of what we've been doing with Optimism Fractal and our fractal communities and all the great innovations we've been building for a while. I'll get into that in a moment. First, maybe I'll also share, I did put together this Luma link and put together Zoom chats, so lots of logistical things that we need to make everything work. And then I made a bunch of the posts as well too. So I shared before that I shared the introductory post introducing introducing Optimism Fractal, and I posted this a bunch of places too. So we have lots of connections. We've been building in Web3 for probably about 5 years or so, well, I've been building in Web3 since 2018 or so. So that's about 5 years, and each of us for different amounts of time. But we built up a lot of connections basically over this time, and I've been working with a lot of really talented builders, and we have lots of different places. So I posted this message. I worked on crafting this introductory message to make it really nice and concise for people to understand what is Optimism Fractal. Obviously, this doesn't provide all the details, but we want to just give a nice introduction and then be able to provide some more links where people can learn more, like the Discord and the RSVP. So I also created the Discord where people can ask questions, and I shared this comment, this introductory message here. I shared it in the Optimism Discord, optimism.gg/discord, gov.optimism.io. And I also shared it in a lot of the communities we've been interacting with in the past 5 years. So there's a vibrant fractal community. As I mentioned before, there's like 10 or more communities who have been pioneering these fractal processes, including Eden Fractal, Fractally, and so forth. We also have another community or network called Fractal Joy, and so we're reaching like hundreds or thousands of people with these messages, and lots of people we have tight connections with. So introducing Optimism Fractal to many different people, both in the Optimism community and then in the communities that we've been working with of talented builders who are interested in very aligned goals with optimism, since the Fractal community is highly aligned in creating public goods and improving the mechanisms by which people cooperate and coordinate, and creating benefits for society as a whole, and restructuring how everything can work to help everybody succeed much more. So yeah, I put this message out in a bunch of different places and crafted that. I also, as I said before, I put this website together and all those links, but I think I showed it already. So the next thing I'll show here is the media page, and this is what I've been I spent a lot of time working on this, and well, typically we talk about what we did in the past week during fractal meetings, during Optimism Fractal meetings, and that's the main focus, but also you could share what you did for a longer period of time too, because we've been working on this for, well, I discovered Optimism, got really into it probably, I guess it was like 4 months ago or so, and I've been basically working full time and devoting all my energy towards helping Optimism along with helping fractals and bring them together. So this article provides a little bit of an overview of what I've been doing, as well as Rosmari and Tadas and Vlad and the whole Fractal, Eden Fractal community have been doing. So if you go here and you click article, then you can see this article. It's at edencreators.com. So Optimism Fractal. Eden Creators, by the way, I'm founder of Eden Creators. It's kind of a media outlet. We also help with building tools for fractals, but largely what we have is we have a YouTube channel, which perhaps I could show in a little bit, where we publish the videos from each Eden Fractal meeting as well as other Fractal meetings, and we publish them really nice. You saw Rosmari before shared the show notes and the thumbnail, and we often have, like, well, we always have every week really interesting discussions, and we publish these as videos so everybody can learn our progress. So I've been curating a lot of that as we're learning about optimism, because over the past 8 weeks or so, I've been hosting these Eden Fractal events where people can learn about them. And also about a month and a half ago, we made a proposal to the Optimism Grants Council to start Optimism Fractal, and we worked hard on that. We also made an addendum too, where we provide lots of details about how this can help optimism and these unique tools. So yeah, I worked a lot on this article writing, and so you can read it. It includes some of the stuff that we introduced it, but also links to Eden Fractal and Fractally, so you can learn more about 2 of these communities where we've been doing a huge amount of work for Optimism Fractal, or to lead to Optimism Fractal, and refining all these processes over the past 2 years. So you can explore a lot more on these websites. I won't go into too much detail here because I'm supposed to stick this to about 4 minutes or maybe 5 minutes at most, but there's a little bit of overview about how we're deeply aligned with the optimistic vision and connecting with people in the optimism community, and talk about how we've been working on this for so long. So just kind of telling our story about what we've been doing for the past both 2 years and the past 4 months or so, and it talks about how you can see our epic journey starting Optimism Fractal and learning all the exciting details by exploring the show notes for the past, well, now it's 8 episodes of Eden Fractal, and we've been producing that. I've been working with Rosmari on producing each of those episodes. And then working with Vlad and Tadas on coordinating the development of the tools. I mean, of course, Vlad and Tadas are building tools, but I'm also coordinating with them to figure out how we should design these tools to be most helpful for optimism. And so, yeah, basically, I curated a bunch of that as an overview, and then I also curated our collaborations over 4 recent Eden Fractal meetings from when we first started discussing Optimism Fractal at Eden Fractal meetings. And these meetings, there's about average of like 10 builders lately, sometimes 12 builders who join these meetings, and then basically we play this respect game, but in these meetings we also have an extra hour where we play a game called Agendas, where we discuss different topics. And during that extra hour during Kajendas, we've been discussing optimism meetings or optimism a lot and introducing and educating this community of amazing builders who love fractals and love empowering people with public goods to the optimism community. So I've been preparing presentations for each one of these, and you can click on each one of these. As Rosmari showed before, we have show notes for each of these as we're planting Optimism Fractal. So we've been sharing our journey as we've been building Optimism Fractal and as we've been learning about optimism, and we've been creating this educational content, this artful educational content, this beautiful educational content. And huge thanks to Rosmari for making the wonderful thumbnails and everything. And we've been making it so that everybody can watch the full episode and see us doing all the cool stuff that we're doing, but then also go to the show notes. So it's a great resource where people can share with friends and so forth. I know I'm probably going a little bit over the 5 minutes right now, but I figure since there's just a few of us and there's a lot to do for this first meeting, I just figured I'd give a little overview. But yeah, basically this article here curates a lot of that, and then it also curates a little introduction to optimism for people who aren't familiar with optimism, as well as there's another article that we've been working on over the past few months that has much more details about optimism as well, and then some more details about Eden Fractal and the games we play and the tools that we're building for people who are just learning about fractals. So it's kind of trying to bring this all together. And then lastly, I'll just mention, another big thing that I did this week was I joined the community call. So Michael, he hosts the Optimism community call on Tuesdays, and I've listened to a bunch of these and I found them super valuable and useful. And so I joined this one, and I also made a post beforehand. I think I forgot to bring it up, but if I go and I search for the Optimism community call, where you could see here, I announced the Optimism event, and I also asked this question about KYC and how Retro PGF works, because we're preparing a Retro PGF application, and we were thinking about how maybe we could reward people with OP. We're still figuring out if that's possible to do, like with all the legal stuff. But if we went over here to community calls, then you could see I asked a question for the 30th OP community call. Actually, no, it was the 29th one. This is the new one that's upcoming. So I'll just go back to this one over here, and you can see I made this post here to ask about it, and I communicate with Michael, and he discussed this during the meeting. You can see the video of this. I recorded it, and I also sent him a link to it, and this will be published soon. And then I introduced the Optimism Fractal during this meeting to about 35 great builders in the Optimism community, and inspired a nice discussion about events, and I think people really liked it. So that was a really cool time, and I'm really excited. And then lastly, I've been working on this new Optimistic site too, where I won't share too much of it now, but it's working on curating the work for our team and so forth. And we'll be working on this along with the Retro PGF application that we're creating in the next few days. That's that for my contributions. As I said, normally we like to go shorter, but well, sometimes when there's just a few of us, we can take liberty to share a bit more because we still have about 22 minutes left in the meeting. But anyway, that's the end for my contribution. Hope you've all enjoyed watching what I've been doing to help optimism with Optimism Fractal, along with Rosmari and Tadas. And then a couple more things I just wanted to share, which aren't really directly my contribution, really, but Vlad mentioned he built the web app for Optimism Fractal. And so I showed this briefly before, but this is the app where we will be submitting our consensus results. So right after I end my presentation, then we'll have a time when me, Rosmari, and Tadas, we could ask each other questions or comments about what we did. We've all been working quite closely together, so maybe we won't have questions or comments, but normally this is a great time to network and just get to know people. And then we'll go into the Fractagram app. So if we go back to the details section, this is also something that Tadas mentioned too, but you can actually read through. Tadas did like excellent work explaining what we're doing here in like very precise terms and to make it clear, because we are introducing a lot of new stuff and we want to make it as simple as possible, but there are several different things that people should know if they really want to dig into the details and have questions. So Tadas did great work on crafting this kind of mission statement about Optimism Fractal is a community dedicated to fostering collaboration and awarding public goods creators and optimism. So I love that. We're also going with a kind of a motto / mission of growing optimism. And then you can see exactly how this works, where we meet for community meetings each week, and then we play this respect game. And then we make sure that the results are valid in these ways, and we talk about what respect is and how respect gets distributed. There's a lot more details that goes into like the math and science about how this all works and why it's so helpful for empowering communities. But just want to show you a high-level overview of what we're doing, as well as some of Tadas's live contributions. And then you can also check out Fractalgram, which is the web app that we're going to be using to reach consensus too. So here's an app. Well, it works in Telegram, so that's why I picked up my Telegram. And then you can see an introductory post from Tadas. He introduces at Eden Fractal back almost a year ago now. It's been kind of a while. So while that's loading, I also have an article here too at edencreators.com/fractalgram that we're also going to put up on the Optimistic website too, so everything in the optimism community you can see it, but there's a little bit of overview about what is our Fractagram. Basically, it's an intuitive Telegram web app that makes it easy for communities to play the respect game. And so basically we can play it in Telegram and then automatically pin the results into the OP mainnet. And we have videos and tutorials about Fractagram and much more here. And then Tadas also wrote this article, which has GIFs and makes it really simple for anybody to learn to play. But you don't got to worry about that. I just figured I'd give you a high-level overview of how we're going to do it. And then we can get into it. So perhaps now with that, I will go back to the beautiful picture over here and end my presentation. And yeah, if anybody has any thoughts or questions or comments for each other, or anything you want to share before we go into playing the respect game in terms of reaching consensus, then we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, comments. So you presented not just your contributions, but all of ours. Thanks, Dan.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Although, of course, it's you all that deserve the respect for what I presented. I just figured, sometimes it's nice to share the screen and go into a bit more detail, especially because anybody who's watching this from the Optimism community might not know anything about what we're doing here with fractals. I know you've shared it many times before, but I just figured maybe I could help explain it for people who are new. So, and I'm very happy to help present your wonderful work.
Thanks. And by the way, from my side, you helped a lot. In the design of Optimism Fractal, just for me to get to understand and to get ideas right, and sometimes to stop me from over engineering.
Well, sounds good. Thank you, Das. I was happy to help you. Although I don't know if I'd say over engineering. You also, there's been so much we've been doing to help Optimism and Optimism Fractal over the past week and weeks, and you've come up with some really interesting ideas and really fascinating concepts like the higher order fractal and all sorts of stuff that we'll introduce later. And yeah, it's been wonderful working with you. And there's so much more, like Notion pages upon Notion pages and videos recorded, so much detail. So I very, very, very much appreciated collaborating with you, Das, and you've I don't think what we're doing right now would be at all possible without you. So thank you so much for everything that you're working on.
Yeah, while developing Optimism Fractal, design for it and code and everything, we came up with series of ideas, and we had to stop ourselves from trying to implement them right now, and because we wouldn't have been able to deploy it anytime soon if we tried. But yeah, we had to stop at the right time, and
yeah, absolutely. There's so much we could do and so much we're excited to share. We're planning to roll it out in stages so that people can just enjoy the respect game and keep it simple to start out, and create a really welcoming and fun environment for everybody to join in this first season of Optimism Fractal. And then over time, as more people start to understand it, then we can weave in all these amazing things. I think it's kind of like the OP stack, and I've kind of been calling it the OP Fractal stack. I don't know if that's a name we'll stick with, but there's lots of different varieties of the respect game and fractals, and lots of unique features that we can add that can be really helpful for communities that we're excited to introduce over time. But for now, we'll just keep it very simple to provide everybody with the best experience possible. And thank you once again so much, Tadas, for helping with that so much. I'm sorry to interrupt you. What were you saying?
Yes, exactly. We are starting simple, but we see a lot of potential that we are excited to share with you later.
100% agree. Well, Tadas, do you have any other thoughts you want to share? Or perhaps Rosmari, do you have any thoughts you want to share before we get into the respect game where we rank each other's contributions?
I'm just excited to be here. We're finally doing it, and we've been talking about this for so long. And I'm glad to be here and to keep on contributing to optimism.
Excellent. Me too. I'm stoked to be contributing to optimism, and I think we have a very, very exciting future ahead of us with Optimism Fractal. It's been such a pleasure so far, and oh my god, I can only imagine what will come in the future of Optimism Fractal.
Wow, I haven't heard you mention God.
Oh yeah,
yeah, not so much. Okay,
well,
so maybe that's a sign.
Maybe. Ooh, we have spoken about it here and there, and also we are the Optimistics team and Mystic team. So Optimistics is a nice, it's nice pun or play on words here because it's optimistic, of course. We feel good about the future and we like where it's going, and that also is it kind of characterizes how we feel right now as well as being a wonderful community and collective that's pioneering public goods and governance and all these amazing things. But then also the mystical part of it too. Mystical, that means like connection with nature, connection with God, perhaps something like that. So, well, perhaps we could dive into it deeper another time as well because we have a recycling game to play. Would be curious if you want to share any more thoughts about that. But I do think that that deeper mystical meaning is something that is very exciting about what we're doing here, and helps us tell an amazing story that will help us inspire people to do good and help each other and help out the world very much here with optimism.
I agree. Let's be optimistic.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I see.
joined the chat.
Okay, cool. I also joined the chat. Oh, I joined from the wrong account, so I'm going to rejoin from my main account, and then I will leave from the other account. Perhaps it might be helpful too if one of us share a screen too as we're doing this, just so people can see as they're watching how the voting in Fractagram works.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Maybe
Okay.
I could show it in my screen so that people see what I'm doing. That's helpful.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Also, by the way, I did mention that I joined as 2 accounts, but maybe it's helpful like keeping the 1 account because I'm Vlad, or should I leave the second account? Like it would be helpful if the second account is representing Vlad, or do you just want to write in Vlad as a participant in this one?
Yeah, maybe I will write on Vlad as a participant, just to make it clearer on screen that it's Vlad and not you.
Okay, sounds good. Well, my second account, Dogman, will leave the room right now to make space for everyone else to play, and Dancing Joe will stay.
Okay, so I will start. Yeah, then you need to allow me to share my screen.
Yep, sure thing. My apologies for not doing that earlier. You are now able to share your screen.
One moment while I find the window.
Sure thing. And while you're doing that, I'll also explain too, because we kind of explained how it works with Fractagame earlier, but maybe we didn't go into all the details. So I mentioned that people have to come to consensus to determine their different ranks of contributions in optimism. If you want to jump into Tadas and actually explain this, then I can explain afterwards. But basically, I saw there you pulled up Fractagram, which is the Telegram app, and then you can pick different options to start the Fractagram group. Of course, people don't need to deal with this. There just needs to be one person who knows how to do this in the group, or they can always write in the Zoom chat or anything like that. But this app just makes it much more intuitive and easy so that people who don't have any experience with Web3 or wallets or have very limited experience can use like a familiar app where they just vote in polls basically, and then can very quickly submit it to the OP mainnet. So just a high level overview, and then you have a button there in the bottom right corner where you can automatically pull up these messages, like to enter your Optimism account and then do other things. So I'll enter my Optimism account here. You see Rosmari responded there with hers. And so that will be, that'll allow Telegram to send it directly to the OP mainnet. Feel free to take it from there, Tadas. And I can also explain a little bit more about how that consensus works, where 2 or 3 people need to, or rather 2/3 of the group need to agree to form a consensus. Or perhaps if you'd like to go over that, Tadas, then feel free to introduce Fractagram and the respect game, however much more you'd like here.
Yeah, so basically Fractalgram is a alternative front-end for Telegram, which allows any participant which logs in to basically administer the consensus reaching in a breakout group in order to facilitate easier reaching of consensus through polls. It starts with creating this prompt. There is a shortcut to create a prompt like this. I created it again. Yeah, and people reply to it with their accounts. Currently, it has to be an Ethereum address, but in the future, we are planning to integrate ENS names and so on, so that it's more readable and user and friendlier. Yeah, so right now we will all input our Ethereum Optimism addresses.
Sounds great. And it looks like we have that. And so now I see you're going in to create the polls so that we can vote on who did the most of optimism in our opinion here, which is basically level 6 is kind of like first place to determine who did the most for optimism this week. And you're also right in Vlad, because Vlad had to go a little bit. He said had to go, and in the chat message, so as I said before, he's a busy guy, but we can write him in, and for now it'll just be us 3 voting, but we can still vote for Vlad here as well.
Yes, that's right. And yeah, you see poll is created. I needed to add Vlad, but normally you don't need to add anything. You just simply review and press send, and now we can vote. It's hard. I didn't want to show myself voting for myself, so I will vote for Dan.
Okay, and looks like we have 3 votes, and so I voted for Tadas, and it looks like Rosmari also voted for Tadas too, so you can hit view results there. And in which case then we can see who voted for who. And so it looks like Tadas has 2 out of 3 consensus, and so Tadas will be the 2/3 winner, or rather, I shouldn't say it like that. He basically gets level 6 because that's the other thing I meant to mention before. I'm not sure if I fully explained it, but basically the goal to reach consensus is to have 2/3 of the people in a room. So if it's just 3 of us like now, then 2 out of 3, or if there's 6 of us, then 4 out of 6 have to reach consensus about each person's contribution or each person's level. And then we'd also do that now for level 5 and level 4 and so forth. And there's also a lot of like really interesting dynamics here too. So basically, people are the participants and the players need to come to consensus, or else nobody gets awarded with respect. And so it's often difficult. Like in this meeting, for example, I know Tadas and Rosmari and Vlad have all been working like super hard and doing incredible work for Optimism Fractal. So oftentimes it's like, oh, who do you pick? Because everybody's doing really good work. But it's also helpful to note too, like we do this every week. And so it's a way that it's a way to have fun and share your contributions. And then over time, if somebody gets a lower rank one week, they can get a higher rank next week and so forth. But it also provides constant incentives for people to help out each other quite a lot. So yeah, I can go more into detail, but just as a high level overview for that. All right, looks like us 3 voted, and you could click view results and you could see what the results are. And it looks like Rosmari and Tadas voted for me. I voted for Rosmari, but thank you. I'll accept that and appreciate your support and respect. During this time too, people have the opportunity to talk about it. So if anybody felt like, oh, well, I voted for this person, I really think they deserve it for this reason, or something like that, then people could discuss it. Or if people are just happy with the result, then they can go along with it. And oftentimes, if you have consensus already, then it's nice and easy. And because there is a time limit, because you need to finish within 45 minutes or so, then you do want to make sure that you have a chance for everybody to reach consensus.
Yes, and just to add to that, to voice their opinion, and there's an option to retract your vote once you have already voted. If you get convinced that someone else deserves more the particular level that you're reaching consensus on.
Yeah, I just retracted my vote and voted for myself.
Oh. Yes, good explanations. Okay, and it looks like level 4. So far Rosemary hasn't voted, but we do have 2 vote. Oh, it looks like Rosemary has voted now.
Yes. So
Okay.
Rosmari has consensus.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And we can explain what the respect is used for too, right? What are we getting out from this?
Yes.
After the
But
levels.
maybe let's finish by submitting consensus,
Mm-hmm. And then we can
and
get into that afterwards.
then we will later talk about what this submission will lead to. So yeah, so right now I will start just from the start. So yeah, so here we input group number. It's one group, so the group number is 1. And here you see the results from the polls. So basically you see the winner of each poll, the winner from each poll. And in addition, I have to add Vlad because he didn't submit his address because he's not here. And I will also have to add here his address here. So normally this would not be needed if everyone participates. And in the future we will plan to make it much more intuitive, even if you do need to make some edits. But right now it's like this.
Sounds good. And if you don't have Vlad's Optimism account, then I can also find that. I'm looking for it right now. I know he posted in our chat, so I'll be able to get that in a moment and then send it to you.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay, cool.
It should work now.
Okay.
And yeah, so you see the generated message has a link which participants click and they are led to this front end, which already has all the information from the Fractalgram filled in. So here you have all the all of our addresses. Yeah, and those addresses correspond to the results. We can check, for example, see my address starts with AED, and here you see AED, and then C11, C11, and then F6, F6, and that's Vlad's address that I inputted. And here we plan to also integrate the Ethereum naming system here as well. So hopefully, eventually, you will mostly see ENS names if people have them. If people don't have them, we have plans for that. But normally, you would see something readable, human readable. Well, not normally, but in the future, I mean, you will see something human readable here. And yeah, and then we simply click submit. Now this is some additional protection. We don't always use this, but if you want to make sure that you have consensus, you can check with other people in the room if they are seeing the same series of numbers here. Dan, Rosmari, do you want to confirm in this case?
Yes, I see the same character sequence.
Okay,
Great.
and I'll take your 2 word for it.
Okay. And so I then click push it on chain, and yeah, I will need to switch account first.
By the way, I also do see the same sequence. I just opened it up.
Yes, and you see transaction submitted. And
Is this, by the way, the first time that, because I know we've been testing this, I know you've tested a lot on the testnet, I believe the Girly testnet, but or Gorley, but is this the first this is the first OP mainnet transaction of the OP fractal tools and the Optimum fractal tools, right?
I did a couple of more, which it, like technically according to our rules, like we don't represent, we don't mean anything, but I did a couple to just to, couldn't help myself to test.
Okay, cool. Well, so I was gonna test, but this is the first official one that counted according to community consensus, because we have rule to make sure that because I think anybody can submit it, but it only really counts if it is within a breakout room where people have earned a certain amount of respect, or are in the council. There's more details here that we don't have to get into here, but basically this is the first official transaction ever submitted with the Optimism Fractal.
Yes,
So
so the main rule, just to simplify, the main rule is that 2/3 of a breakout room has to make the submission, at least 2/3. And yeah, then we initially have some other protection, but this is the main thing. So, and this is the most important part, like with regards to reaching consensus within breakout rooms, we don't like technically we don't want to enforce like any kind of like method. Theoretically, people could even choose to not use Fractalgram, but use some other tool, for example. The point is that this final signal, this submission on chain, is made, and that people, and from these signals of individual people, that you can see that they have consensus. Yeah, and the reason why I say that we don't want to, and actually we don't need to enforce like any specific consensus reaching methods, is because there might be, like in the beginning in Genesis Fractal, we used other methods to reach consensus, and we arrived at this method partly through experimentation. So, and in the future people might find some other ways. So we want to allow some experimentation, and we are interested in learning best methods to reach consensus.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tadas, for explaining. I agree, and it's also worth noting too that in that spirit of that kind of open collaboration and welcoming people to experiment with different methods, all these tools are open source. They all work on the OP mainnet as well as all other OP stack chains. I believe, I haven't tested, I don't know the technical details, but I believe it's built on OP stack. So if people wanted to deploy it on a different OP chain, then they could. But of course, this is built on the OP mainnet, and they're also built general purpose EVM too. So the Ethereum virtual machine, Ethereum is doing incredible things. And so these tools, people within the much wider Optimism and OP communities and Ethereum communities could also play around with these tools. It's all open source. They could fork it and create different things. We also have a Discord too, where I'm sure Tadas and Vlad and other developers, as it grows, we'll be happy to collaborate and discuss more about these tools. So it's really very aligned with the foundational principles of optimism and the optimistic vision, where we can create public goods in an open source way, and a kind of bizarre kind of way, according to the Cathedral Bazaar, where everybody can get involved and help build and help test out the tools and help try out the things to figure out the best ways to empower communities with these respect games. And then in addition to, one thing I might add, Rosmari mentioned what is the purpose of respect, and what can people do with it. So respect is also, it's all open, like everybody can see it on the OP mainnet. It's an immutable kind of reputation score or respect points, and that's highly composable too. We think it's a very powerful primitive where people can build other apps with it or use it for different purposes. Like, for example, Retro PGF is an amazing it's an amazing initiative that's going on in Optimism, where people can earn rewards by helping Optimism. And what we do here at Optimism Fractal is we can award people with respect, and then people like the badge holders in the Citizens House can use it to see, oh, how much are people ranking each other? How much are people helping? What kind of scores are they getting when people go to Optimism Fractal meetings? That's one way. And of course, it can also be integrated with lots of other different EVM tools and tools on the OP mainnet, like Charmverse and Hats Protocol and all these cool different tools. So the whole thing, it's a very, we're doing this very much to help support this open source ethos and to help everybody collaborate as helpful as possible. And back to our intent or mission statement about fostering collaboration and also awarding public goods creators in Optimism. It's really a wonderful way what we're doing to both reward those public goods, building open source tools or building videos and great content, inviting friends and all these different things to Optimism, as well as also fostering collaborations. Just from my brief experience, like I met Rosmari through these meetings in Eden Fractal, I guess 8 or 9 months ago now, and I met Tadas talking about fractals back about 1.5 years ago, and I met I'd known Vlad for a while, but I met so many amazing people from these fractal meetings. So there's so many benefits we can go on and on about. I know we said we were going to do about an hour meeting. We can go a bit longer if you want to, but I just wanted to add that on to that because I wanted to just briefly bring back what Rosmari was saying about how the respect can be used. It can also be used to help make decisions too for the community. There's ways where people have a lot of respect. Respected members can form a council and help coordinate our future and stuff like that. And there's a whole bunch more we can go into, but just wanted to give people a little bit of a taste and a little bit of a hint and a preview about the really amazing things that can come out of this respect game and fractals, and there's so much more that I'm excited to share with you in future meetings and throughout the rest of the coming days and months and years.
Yes, absolutely agree. And do you still see my screen share?
No, I saw you pulled up for like half a second, but then you turned it down. So, or then you turned it off. So if you wanted to share your screen again so we could see it, then feel free to bring it up, but we don't currently see it.
Yeah, so my Zoom is showing me as if it's still sharing. So it's kind of
interesting.
Yeah, so we did not make Zooms, so that's the only tool that is not currently working. We did not build it.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Although actually Vlad has been building for the past year an app that uses WebRTC, which is like an open source video conferencing technology. And that makes it so we don't actually use Zoom. So we're independent of the whole Zoom corporation and we can go peer-to-peer with videos. There's been a lot of development with this too. We also tested another tool called Jitsi. So we're on the way to full open source and everything, but have a couple dependencies right now with Zoom.
Yes. Do you mind if I leave a meeting for a moment just to fix this?
Yep, sure thing. And I also just submitted my transaction on chain. I did it on mobile because I figured I'd try that out, and it works on mobile too. So now all three of us have submitted our consensus on chain. And I see Tadas is joining us back.
Nice.
And I see you successfully submitted 2 in the chat. Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just wanted to add a little detail about the respect distribution. That the respect is non-transferable token representing respect, and it gets distributed using the Fibonacci ratio. So level 6, for example, would receive 55 respect, level 5 would receive 34, level 4 21, and so on. And so with each week, the sum of the total respect will be able to be easily tracked because it's all on chain, and over time participants build up their respect points because of the levels of contributions, weekly contributions, and the rankings that other participants in their breakout rooms have agreed on and reached consensus on and send it on chain. So this could be highly composable and used for a variety of different reasons. And one of the reasons is to prove authentication of contributions and get these contributions awarded. And the main purpose for this is to create more and more public goods, which benefit the Optimism ecosystem.
Yes, well said. And the core thing, we are trying to make sure that public goods and most importantly contributors to public goods are recognized. And that's what respect represents, like recognition of a community of people who do good work towards public good.
Yep, totally. And also just to add on that too a little more. So this respect game, well, as Rosary was mentioning, people get more respect when they do more to help the community, basically. So everybody earns respect by joining. Everybody joining, even if you're just learning about optimism or just interested in checking it out, just joining. It's a helpful thing to do if you're bringing positive energy and you're sharing some optimism. But then if you do a lot more to help the community, then you're more likely to get a higher rank. So you saw like Tadas, he got level 6 today because he built all these amazing tools and helped out the design so much and everything like that. So if you're helping optimism, or if you're interested in getting involved with the amazing community who's doing good work for the world, creating public good and so forth, then it's an excellent opportunity to have fun and meet people and network. I think it's a really valuable opportunity for the optimism community as a whole, where people can come together each week and meet each other. Like I was saying before, it's a wonderful way to meet people, but then at the same time too, it's a way where you can get awarded and recognized for what you're doing to help optimism and to really help create public goods in general, because optimism is also focused on helping optimism, but helping help the entire Ethereum community, helping to foster a sustainable open internet and make a better world for everybody. So it's a great way to get awarded for doing good things. And in this system too, one of the really nice things about respect is that he's got some really nice features. So like Vitalik Buterin, founder of Ethereum, he wrote this article called Credible Neutrality. Like to have, like, that's a really important principle. You want things to be neutral. Like, how do you determine how much people are helping create public goods? And how do you know how much people are helping? Like, this creates a legitimate and really truly democratic process where people go into breakout rooms. And one thing, I don't know if I mentioned, but the breakout rooms are random. So if we did have like 30 people or 20 people or 100 people or whatever, people would go into random breakout rooms. And then over time, you'd wind up meeting lots of different people each week. And using this process, it provides a way where lots of different people are ranking each other's contributions. So over time, it provides like a very credibly neutral and also quite accurate way to just determine how much people are helping. Then these are rooted in or Optimism Fractal and the respect game and the principles we're doing. It's rooted in like very deep research into human coordination and human cooperation for many, many years with many very leading figures in Web3 and hundreds of builders who have been doing profoundly helpful work. So there's really great principles in why this is such a helpful primitive, in addition to being really fun, why it can be so helpful for the Optimism Collective and the world as a whole. And I mean, I've been working, dedicating my life to this since I really started using these fractal processes. Oh, and one more thing maybe we should mention is we call it fractals for a reason. So fractals, in case people don't know, fractals are everywhere in nature. When you look at a tree or you look at a plant, fractals are self-repeating patterns. You can also see them in beautiful artwork as well, and it's also in mathematics. There's the Mandelbrot set created by a mathematician with the surname of Mandel, who created or who figured out how you can derive wonderful and beautiful patterns that look beautiful and are really elegant mathematically with simple algorithms with fractals. So this is really helpful for what we're doing here. It's rooted in a concept called fractal democracy, where rather than having lots and lots of people trying to make a decision all at once and trying to like elect one leader, something like that, you go into breakout rooms. It's kind of like nature, where it splits off into many branches, many leaves and so forth, and then we work together to make a decision in there, and then it also sprouts off into other beautiful fractal communities and all these other things. So there's lots of beautiful poetry and synergy to it as well. I wanted to add and explain a little bit of fractals that we can get into more there. Yeah.
Lovely.
Cool. Thank you. And I agree. And you've shared many inspiring thoughts. Thank you so much, Rosmari and Tadas, for inspiring me and inspiring so much about fractals. As we've been working together for a while, we are 15 minutes over the top of the hour, so perhaps we should wrap it up. Also, huge thanks to Vlad too, much respected Vlad, and also thank you so much everybody for watching. Thank you for being here. As we said before, there is a Luma link. You can check out optimismfractal.com, and this website is still being developed, but it provides a good overview of what we're doing here. And so you can check out optimismfractal.com, and then from there you can check out the our Discord and our Twitter. Follow us at optimismfractal at twitter.com/x.com, and you can see updates as we share our progress, and feel free to reach out with any questions in our Discord channel. All that you can find at optimismfractal.com, as well as lots more about our details and in our media page, where you can check out the roots of Optimism Fractal and dive into all those previous meetings at Eden Fractal, where we've been sharing our progress. Everybody's welcome to join these meetings. We're still figuring out the time. Right now we're doing this on a Friday, but we're thinking about switching the time to a Monday. So I think we'll come out with a formal announcement about the time. But you can register and get RSVP reminders when you go to lu.ma/optimismfractal. And then we can figure out the date, and we'll share out reminders there, as well as on our Twitter and Discord, to keep everybody up to date and we can follow along. We're also going to be publishing these videos each week too, or publishing them. We do like to produce them well, so we'll produce them pretty soon. We'll try to get this one as soon as we can, so everybody can see it. And currently we publish this on the Eden Creators YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Eden Creators. Maybe I'll just real quick just share my screen here, because I've just been sharing all these things here that might be helpful for people to see. But yeah, here's the lu.ma/Optimism Fractal, where you can learn more. And then if you also go to youtube.com/Eden Creators/@Eden Creators, then you can see where we're publishing the videos for the other meetings that we host. Everybody's also welcome to join Eden Fractal too, if you want to get really involved with what we're doing, or just see how this works in a different environment. Eden Fractal is also very closely collaborating with Optimism. As you can see, that's where we introduce Optimism Fractal, the Optimism Vision, and so forth. So we have lots of videos here, and of course you can go to edenfractal.com and edenfractal.com/videos to learn more as well, and you'd be very welcome to join us there. There's also a Telegram group at t.me/Eden Fractal where you can learn more. And I think that both of these Fractal communities, Optimism Fractal and Eden Fractal, will be super helpful for anybody who's interested in optimism or optimism creators and builders. We love to get to meet you. We're all fairly new to the optimism community, but we love everything that's been going on so far, and we're excited to network and collaborate more. So please feel free to reach out with any questions, and we'd be happy to see you at our meetings and explain any more details, or just get to meet you and see all the wonderful things you're doing. From my experience, there's been so many talented and wonderful people. So you can check out that, as I said, optimismfractal.com, where you can learn more details and find RSVP and our contact details and so forth. I suppose I'll stop the screen share. I don't know if there's anything else we wanted to mention here. Tadas, Rosmari, anything else that you wanted to mention before we wrap it up?
No, not from my side. Thank you all for watching, and we'll share all the links in the description box, and make sure to subscribe, and you're more than welcome to come.
Yes, from my side, I think we covered everything. I hope we made a good introduction. And we hope to see you join.
You're here. I will second and third that. Absolutely. Hope to see you there. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Hope that you're having a wonderful day. And I am stoked to collaborate with you and help out the Optimism Collective and help out the world, create more public goods, award people who are doing wonderful work for the world and for the Optimism Collective. I suppose we could sign off here. Usually at Eden Fractal meetings, sometimes we say like, go Eden Fractal at the end or something like that. I don't know if we should say go Optimism Fractal or let's grow optimism, or I don't know. Is there anything special we should do to sign off, you think?
I just realized grow optimism almost sounds like go.
That is true. That is true. I hadn't realized that. That's a quite elegant thing. And I love grow optimism because it kind of goes with the fractals of it, like growing fractally. But yeah, that is a very nice thing, though. I'd be up to say grow optimism if y'all would like to sign off with that. Sound good?
Yes.
Yes, but I don't guarantee if I will say go or grow. I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll see. And I suppose anybody watching can go back and listen again and again to hear the slight intonations in your voice.
Yeah, try to figure out what I'm saying as you hear all of us.
All right. And then maybe whoever can figure it out, maybe they'll get some extra respect in next week's respect game, which I think might come up on Monday, but I suppose we can figure that out afterwards. Like I said, we'll follow up with a formal communication about that. All right. So maybe I'll count down 3, 2, 1, and we'll say grow/go optimism. Sounds good?
Yes.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Grow.
Optimism.
All right. Thanks everybody so much. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much, Rosmari and Vlad and Tadas. And thanks everybody for watching. I hope to see you next week and see you soon.
See you.
See you soon.